Guys, we're live. It's my Vin Diesel impersonation. We're live.
Why do you keep doing that?
We're live. I can't help it. It's just too funny. The way Vin Diesel did it was so funny. Guys, we're live. We are live. We're live. Guys, we're live. We're live. It's alive, guys. Guys, we're live. We are live. What's
Hello,
up,
ladies
y'all?
and gentlemen. My name is Steve. This is Steve Stall's Nerd Talk. I'm sitting here alongside my what do they call it? Co-host, Brian J. from Brian J's Nerd Talk. Brian J, how you doing?
This is Brian J's Nerd Talk. This is my co-host Steve. Yeah, we're just here to talk about nerd stuff. It's been good. It's been a great.
I forgot to put the mic.
It's been a good week. It's been a good couple of weeks. Ahsoka ended, and I thought it ended really well. I loved the last 3 episodes.
Somebody's here?
I loved the last 3 episodes. Overall, it was a great season. It was a great season overall.
Last 3, so you didn't watch episode 6 before 7 and 8?
No, I watched the last 3 episodes. Yeah,
I watched episode 6 before 7 and 8. I watched episode 7 and 8.
I watched all 8 episodes.
I'll be honest, I watched all 8, yes, but I watched some pacing until I missed 7, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting bored with the series, the pacing-wise.
Yeah,
It left a lot to be desired in pace. It took them 3 episodes to get to a fucking planet across the stars.
it took 6 episodes to get the Thrawn. Like the build up to Thrawn was great, but it's like that could have happened a little bit quicker. Yeah.
Episode 6 could have been where, hey, look, it's Thrawn, and then 7. Oh, excuse me. Episode 5, 6, and then 7. There, the Galaxy. Episode 8.
And it's sad.
A lot of stuff.
It's sad that Ray Stevenson is dead because he was great as Balon. He was amazing.
Oh, he passed away.
Yeah, he passed away back in May. He died. He was filming a movie, so it was really sad because he was such a really, really good actor. He carried himself almost like he was like a poor man's version of Russell Crowe, but he was still really, really good. Like he was still a really good actor. I mean, that's how he carried himself. He carried himself more like a Russell Crowe kind. But he was coming up at a time when Russell Crowe was like, the biggest actor in the world. So.
True.
He was just great in this show, and he carried it. He made it great. I don't know how they're going to recast his character. I don't know what they're going to do. I guess they could write it in the story where wherever he goes to gain this power in the Force, it transforms his physical appearance. I guess they could kind of write that in. But yeah.
Well, all right. So I'll say this because you're gonna follow Disney, and anything Disney spews, you're gonna laugh it up. But anyways, in the Legend, in the expanding universe, we call Legends.
Yeah.
Yes, the Force has that ability. It can transcend one's physical appearance. I'm gonna use the Eternal. Well, I can use the Eternal Emperor, but it's still the Sith Emperor. He went from body to body.
Yeah.
So yes, the Force does have that ability to change, which allows for a recast.
Which they put in The Rise of Skywalker.
Mind you, I still don't like this.
I mean, that's what they did. They put it in that terrible movie. It was still a terrible movie, but
it's a terrible
there it's canon.
movie.
There it's canon. But yeah, I think if they want to recast them, Star Wars has some canonical stuff to where they could do that.
Well, this Disney canon is anything but canon. It doesn't even make any sense half the time. They're like, oh, it does this, and then they're against that.
Right, but it's still canon, and that in The Rise of Skywalker they could use for Balon.
Yeah,
they could get a new actor, and it'd be like, oh, you look different, but you're still the guy. You're still the man. But my biggest complaint with the final episode was the fight choreography. I felt that Rosario Dawson was too slow at times. Like, she's in her 40s, and she's moving really slow with the sword fighting and stuff. It got better as the episode went on. Like, her fight scene with the Night Sister, that was all awesome. That was all great. But her deflecting stuff and doing this with both of the lightsabers, it looked very fake.
It was extremely slow. So
it was very slow,
and
it looked very fake.
They probably recorded her doing this. Like this, and then they spread it up so it looked like that. And then they just had the extra time made up somewhere.
It looked really, really fake. It looked really slow.
I want to say this, in episode 7 and episode 8 the most, you had an extended moment, and I was like, okay, well, they've been there for like 10 seconds, 11, 12, 13. I'm thinking they kind of just had Ahsoka, they have had Rosario Dawson do it slowly, and then sped it up during scenes.
The fight scene stuff was too slow at times, and it looked really fake. It just looked fake.
I believe it was episode 7. Episode 7.
Episode 8.
No. Episode 7 was
what I'm complaining
in
about.
The training room on board of the ship.
Right.
Her movements with the lightsaber were abysmally slow.
Yeah, episode 8.
I've seen younglings in the prequels move a lightsaber
Yeah, and I think the reason why is because they're showing Ahsoka being older, and they're thinking that adds to make it authentic. But it's like looking at it, it just looked very like painfully slow, and that became very much apparent in Episode 8. Episode 7 didn't bother me as much as Episode 8. There were times when I was like, "Yo, she's really straining here. She's really straining."
I'm thinking, well, because I've done arts and crafts, but I haven't done anything of costume. That's not true. I've made my own costume once. It's painfully heavy, but it's I'm sure the headdress they could have made it with a lighter material, and if anything, they could have animated it, and she just needs to take it off to do the movements.
Yeah, I mean, I like the realistic look of it, the practical effects, but it could have done with some motion capture
And when I say this,
if they wanted to spend that money, which they probably didn't want to spend that extra
the
money.
motion capture would have helped a lot.
Yeah,
Because overall in episode 7 and episode 8, Rosario Dawson, it seemed as if she was trying to maintain balance with whatever was on her head. I know what they're called, but it's obviously a hat or a cap or a helmet of some kind. Headwear. That's what her leg clothes are. But it was just painful to watch it. Swinging down, she has to do a spin. Her spin is kind of slow. Kind of looks like she's too dizzy and needs to slow down for a moment, and then put the sword out. The fight choreography looked bad.
It looked very slow.
It was appalling.
but it got better. In episode 8, the second half, towards the end of the episode,
Where
where she's
it got
fighting
better,
that
yes.
one night sister, and they were like moving a lot faster, and they were like speeding it up. That actually looked really awesome. That was
Yes.
really, really great.
Mind you, I'm gonna say the only thing that I am really glad Dave Filoni covered and touched on in Ahsoka was the supernatural magic of dark energy of the dark side that the Night Sisters were.
Yeah, that was really great. That was really cool.
Oh, the fact that they killed all the stormtroopers. And I was like, the stormtroopers died without even doing anything. They volunteered to delay them. They just ran to their death.
It was so cool that they
And
brought
then
them
they came
back.
back.
That was
Like,
so cool.
Oh, I'm like, oh, hey, look,
I loved it.
there's
There were
stormtroopers.
zombies. We got stormtrooper zombies. That was great. I love that. That was really, really cool. And I love that the good guys didn't completely win in the end. Thrawn won. He got what he wanted, and he escaped. And he's going back to the previous galaxy, and he's going to try and take it over and bring back the Empire, which in turn become the First Order later on, like 20-something years later. But I just love that. I love that entire process. It ended like Empire Strikes Back in a way. And overall, I thought the show was great. It wasn't perfect, but it was mostly... This is the best season of Star Wars since the first season of Andor.
And all right, so
I'll say that much.
When I say this, it's not to say that I'm trying to suck up to it or anything. Episode 7 was painful. Episode 8 in the first half was also painful. But those were the two most promising episodes of the entire series. Episode 7 also gave you an insight of what Thrawn thinks, how he thinks. Now, I've heard, excuse me, Stevie Cook. Anyways, I've heard people say that Thrawn is making poor decisions and going back on his word. And I'm here thinking, after having watched the episode, I'm thinking, I don't believe you understand what he's doing. Unless you play chess and know what moving your knight or your bishop refers to,
Yeah.
you wouldn't really understand.
And Thrawn is not going to stick true to his word. He's not that kind of guy.
Well, no. He gives you his word. He completes his word. But he's also against the very word because he completed it already, so he's fuck you.
Yeah, I know. He's like, well, I already did what I said I was going to do.
Hey, listen,
now I'm going to do something else.
I said women and children on the life raft first. Women and children on the life raft first. Doesn't mean I don't have to shoot them.
Yeah, I know. That doesn't mean that the life raft can't sink.
Exactly.
I didn't say anything about that part. I just said they have to get onto the life raft.
Mind you.
But I can make it sink.
Mind you, when it comes to Thrawn,
That's Thrawn.
What I admire about Thrawn as not just an Imperial character, but as a character overall. If you understand what the Chiss ascendancy is, you would understand why Thrawn is the only Chiss in the Galactic Empire.
Well, he's very ruthless, and he had to be ruthless to make it in the Empire because the Empire is a racist organization towards aliens. They're only pro-human. So for somebody like Thrawn to really make it big in the Empire, that's a big fucking deal, and it really shows how ruthless he actually is as a person.
Oh, mind you, he has served with other admirals before he was Grand Admiral.
Oh yeah, of course.
He would state, you shouldn't do this because all this. Nobody listens, and when he puts his input and takes command, it's flawless.
Yeah, if they had listened to him about fighting against the rebels, there probably wouldn't have been a rebellion at all. Like they could have had some skirmishes here or there, but they mostly would have been defeated.
So when it comes to the Galactic Civil War, Thrawn has always been some other area doing the Emperor's bidding for the Galactic Empire.
Yeah.
If Thrawn was on the front lines of the whole thing, there would be no 4, 5, and 6. Maybe 4, some part of 5, and then that's it.
Yeah.
That would have been the entire series.
Yeah.
Thrawn is not some pushover. Most like not yet. Achilles, Admiral Achilles.
Right.
I believe his name is Achilles.
Uh-huh.
He took the blame for losing Solo and the Falcon, and he ended up dying. Mind you, promotions were hot storm, hot fire sales in the Empire, in the Navy. Never serve the Navy in the Empire unless you want to be promoted, and fuck up on the next job. Though when I say this, Thrawn is someone you would greatly regret going against, because he is someone who has flawlessly understood psychology, biology, culture, art, history, war, and music.
Right.
It was art, but
Especially art.
especially art. And he said it before. Is I've studied art, I've studied war, I perfected it. It's like art. You're not gonna get past somebody who can do that. But episode 7, I believe, if we look away from Ahsoka and all things about Ahsoka, was good. What I dislike in the fight sequence with, I forget the name of the Dark Jedi Padawan apprentice, was the whole scene where Ezra's doing this with his hands. Mind you, blocking a lightsaber with the Force is not an easy thing to do.
That was so awesome.
That was so,
like Ezra's so powerful he doesn't need a lightsaber.
No,
he only brought a lightsaber because it was the big battle in episode 8, and that's why he needed one.
No.
But he's so powerful he doesn't really need one.
No, okay. I want to say this. I want to say this. No matter how
That was
powerful
so
you
cool.
are, the Force will only move against the object. So the lightsaber does not mean it will stop it. They will push through. So why Ezra was not struggling with the Force, beyond me, they've only probably overlooked that little aspect of detail.
What, in episode 7?
Yeah, where Ezra was like this with the Force, with the Dark Jedi when she was swinging.
Oh, yeah, when he stopped her from swinging.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that was great.
The Force does not stop the arms. You have to focus on the arms, but then again, the lightsaber.
Well,
itself
I think he was stopping her arms and her hands from slicing with the lightsaber. I've read about that in different books and legends back before it was EU. And for Dave Filoni to put some of that there, I thought was excellent to see how powerful Ezra had gotten. But yeah, I didn't really have a problem with that scene.
I had a problem with it. It was too. He was able. Just like everybody complains about Mary Sue's, Ezra was a bit of a Gary Stu with that. That isn't. There are masters, people who are extremely powerful in the Force. They've done it. They have struggled because it is a difficult thing to do.
But he was trained by a really powerful Jedi. So it makes sense for him.
Kanan is not really
I mean, Kanan was a very powerful Jedi. He just wasn't the strongest Jedi. But he was very powerful. And Ezra was always very powerful in the Force. So for him to get to that level after training for like a number of years in a different galaxy, I thought it was great. I thought it was mostly believable. But it was also cool to see Ahsoka like basically disarm Shin without using a lightsaber. Like Shin was trying to slice her, but Ahsoka didn't even bring out her lightsaber, and that's how strong, how powerful she's gotten to where a Padawan can't compete with her even with a lightsaber. I was like, that was really fucking cool.
Mind you, whether a Jedi or a Sith does it, that is the most insulting thing.
I know, it was great. I loved it. But it's also because Ahsoka didn't want to kill her, too. So she didn't pull out the lightsaber, but she was using the Force to stop her. She was blocking her with her hands and doing this. I was like, you know, Dave Filoni, he knows way too much about Star Wars to the point where when he gets to that level of attention to detail, it's just so great to watch. It's so much fun.
There are a couple things I want to say about episode 7, especially with Hu Yang. The fuck was going on with his fucking voice?
Who?
Hu Yang, the droid, the Jedi droid.
Yeah, what about him?
Droid. You didn't hear his voice? How it was distorted?
Well, yeah, it sounded like kind of distorted robotic in the last episode.
And I was thinking something's wrong.
I mean, it took it some damage, I guess, but yeah.
Well, he never even got into a fight with anyone.
Yeah.
What did he do? Get banged
I mean, he
up a
got.
couple times?
I thought he took some damage with the ship.
Broken.
Yeah, it was like I thought he took some damage like while on the ship or something, but it's like how? It was like yeah.
They were inside of a whale, and it was going on inside of the whale. And the episode before they flew into the whale, and he was talking when the whale closed his mouth. They were talking.
Yeah,
he was fine. As soon as episode 7 came up, where he's talking and his voice sounds totally distorted, I'm thinking.
Well, I didn't hear that in episode 7. Episode 8, maybe after.
No, episode 7, when they're coming, when he says we're jumping out of hyperspace, and there's a lot of objects in the way in the path.
Yeah, I didn't hear his voice like that. No, episode 8, I kind of understood that.
Monsieur Cinephile, I need to tell you.
But no, episode 8, I kind of understood that after the ship got shot out of the sky. He was in the ship, so I was that wasn't surprising. If he took damage with the ship crashing, but in episode 7, I didn't really hear a lot of distortion.
I'm gonna say this. I don't know how. If you didn't hear it, if you've heard it, please leave a comment down below. Now, before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, if you like this type of content, if you like the fact that we're doing
hit the like and subscribe.
Co-show right today about Ahsoka, talking all things about Ahsoka and things about what we love, what we like, what we don't like, what we hate, what I don't know, anything in between. Hit that like button down below. Hit a subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Like somewhere over here. I don't know.
But
and, stay tuned to what we upload or what I upload.
And I did find it like so Disney and so convenient that what's her name? The Mandalorian. Sabine finally got Force sensitive. She finally tapped into the Force and got really powerful. And then she was like very powerful. I'm like, yeah, I know she'd been working on that for like a whole 8 episodes, but for her to get that powerful, it's like. I get that we're.
No.
I get that we.
In the sense she can go. She's amazing with the Force. It's just to pull a lightsaber on the floor to kill the Death Trooper.
Yeah,
and mind you,
I get that we're
the third coolest thing of the whole fucking 2 episodes, 7 and 8, with the Death Troopers.
I get that we're going back to George Lucas's definition of the Force, but it was like she wasn't training with the Force at all for 7 episodes, and then episode 8 she finally tapped into it. And she kills a stormtrooper or a droid or whatever, Death Trooper, and she's like using the Force. She's probably not using it as well as Ezra or Ahsoka, but she's using it, and she's very powerful with it. And it was like, it's like George Lucas with the original trilogy, and it was reestablished under Disney Star Wars, where anyone could tap into the Force, but then it just kind of feels like it lessens this special aspect of certain characters who are really powerful with the Force. Granted, I don't want midichlorians to come back because that shit was stupid. The midichlorians in the prequels was a god-awful thing, and I'm glad they're not doing that ever again. But it's like, now, if you really work hard and tap into it, it's like anyone can use the Force and can be powerful with the Force.
It cheapens the whole purpose of
it. It cheapens the whole thing of working at stuff and being powerful in the Force. But again, George Lucas did set that up with the original trilogy. He just wanted to add in midichlorians because he didn't like that Star Wars wasn't really considered science fiction among real science fiction nerds. So, yeah.
Mind you, I'm going to confess, there are people who will say that Ahsoka is a terrible written show, it's the worst thing that Dave Filoni's done, he is anything but blah, blah, blah.
I think he did a great job.
I will say this, and I know you're going to comment on it, even off stream you can comment, but the pacing of the show could have been better.
Yeah.
Certain elements could have been a lot better. Acting-wise, for certain characters could have been better. Extras could have been a lot better when it comes to performances, actions, how they responded, what they did. For instance, like the whole scene I told you about the Republic troopers with Hera smiling as Ahsoka was flying off in their ship. Mm-hmm. That, see, little details like that amount to the whole picture. As to why 2 Republic officers were smiling throughout the series in episode 3 or 4.
You mean when Ahsoka was escaping?
Well, when she had confronted the Marok and Balin, Marok on the planet where Corellia, where they were taking the
when Ahsoka was getting to the whales and flying off?
No, Marok. You don't remember the episode where they went to Corellia to get the hyperdrive engine, and there was an engine that was being taken, and the underkiller droids were mentioned by the droid that handles that facility. for the Empire, from the former Imperials, for the Empire.
Oh yeah. That wasn't a bad episode. It just showed that there were people, elements working for the Empire behind the scenes in the Senate and everything. Which I wish they explored that more with Hera dealing with that senator who just kept putting down everything she wanted to do. So, maybe they'll get more into that into another season of The Mandalorian. If they have a season 4, which they most likely will, because the writer's strike is over and the SAG strike should be over by next week. And so they got to start season 4 Mandalorian. They're going to start filming next year. They could get more into that, I guess. But yeah, I wish they explored more of that. There was a lot they could have explored in 8 episodes.
That's not what I'm talking about, though. I was talking about none of that. I was talking about the scene where the...
Well, I was talking about that.
Anyways.
But I didn't think that scene was bad when you were talking about it.
No. It's just your troopers who are deployed for a reason, and you're just smiling while there's someone driving. Kind of kills the whole purpose of your responsibility and your duties. There were some elements throughout the series, small, minute, small little details. You don't have to go, oh my god! No, you don't have to. But there were some elements that were very upsetting, very infuriating, and agitating. That really could be improved, and I hope Dave Filoni will work on ensuring such minute or small differences are resolved and are properly remedied for next time if he does another series.
I love the slow pace of Dave Filoni's shows because it reminds me of the classic westerns and spaghetti westerns, which usually had a slow pace, and that's what Dave Filoni is going for. There were some moments where the show kind of dragged in spots, but overall, I really loved the pacing. And on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give the series of Ahsoka?
All right, well, do you want me to give it an overall with everything?
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 through 10, what would you give it?
I'd give it a 6, only for the fact that there are elements that bother me. But that's just me. It's just me.
Okay.
But if in all fairness, it would be about a 6 point something, a little bit more than 4.
Like a 6.5?
Looks like a 6.6 or 6.8.
Yeah, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I give the show a 9. Overall, I thought it was great. It had some flaws and issues, but overall, I had a great time every week. It was a great 8 weeks watching the show.
And the first 4 or 5 episodes, why the frick am I watching this? The first 3 episodes I was barely interested in.
You can't expect Dave Filoni to be on the level of Tony Gilroy. Like, Tony Gilroy is just an incredible writer. He was nominated for an Oscar, nominated for a WGA award. The guy is one of the best writers in the world. His father won a Pulitzer. He comes from a great family line of writers, and Tony Gilroy made Star Wars, which on paper Star Wars should be beneath him, but he did the first season of Andor in such an incredible way to where Tony Gilroy made Star Wars on his level. Like, that's how great that first season was. It was a clear masterpiece. But Dave Filoni, I would say, is the second best writer, and Jon Favreau, I would put at number 3 or number 4. Jon Favreau will be the worst writer.
I would say that.
Even though he's not terrible, he's not the worst.
I would say that.
He's not a terrible writer. He's just, of all the Star Wars writers, he's the weakest one.
I will digress. But what I will say is this. Is an Ahsoka a must-watch series? No, it is not. Unless you have watched Rebels and you want to see more to the story, then yes. Otherwise, if you've not watched Rebels, watch Rebels. Don't even watch Ahsoka until you finish Rebels completely. Then watch Ahsoka.
Yeah, that's kind of... Okay, that's the other issue with this cinematic universe thing with Star Wars, is that a lot of people are not watching Disney Plus, or they're canceling, or they subscribe to watch the shows. But the problem is like, a lot of people that watch The Mandalorian don't watch the Book of Boba Fett, and they don't watch Ahsoka. So when they get someone,
you're not missing anything from the Book of Boba Fett. Book of Boba Fett was bad.
No. But the Book of Boba Fett shows Mandalorian being reunited with Grogu, and Grogu coming back to Mando. So, but a lot of people didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett. But if you're watching season 3 of Mandalorian, you're going to be completely confused because you did not watch the Book of Boba Fett. And so you don't know what the fuck is going on because you watched season 2, Grogu left, and then season 3, he's back, and you're like, well, what happened? Oh, he came back in the Book of Boba Fett. Well, I didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett. And it's like, oh, what's this thing going on in Ahsoka? And these characters. Well, you got to watch all 4 seasons of Star Wars Rebels. Well, I didn't watch Rebels, and I don't even watch cartoons. I'm not even into cartoons, which a lot of people have said and will say. And they're like, well, you got to watch season 7 of Clone Wars. I'm like, well, I'm not into cartoons, and I didn't watch all 7 seasons of Clone Wars. I didn't watch season 7, so I didn't know that Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker trained Ahsoka, and it's actually close with Ahsoka. It's like almost like a brother/father figure to Ahsoka. It's like, how am I supposed to know that? I just saw the prequels, and I saw the original trilogy, and I've only seen The Mandalorian.
Did anyone?
And this is the problem with this
No,
cinematic universe
no.
stuff. So many people are confused because they either don't watch all this stuff, which you could say is their fault, but it's also kind of the fault of Disney for not really marketing and promoting these things in the right way to where you all have to watch all this stuff completely. But also, Disney Plus doesn't have a lot of subscribers, and they don't have a lot of viewers anymore. So people who are going in to see the movies are like, who the fuck is that? What is going on? I don't have Disney Plus.
What was the movie?
That's the problem with this.
I saw
This has been the problem with the MCU. You have to watch the Disney Plus series to understand what's going on in the movies. Like, I love Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but as I was watching, I'm like, who the fuck is that dog? I don't know who that dog is. Oh, you have to watch the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special from December 2022. A holiday special? Are you serious? That's where the dog was introduced.
Okay, I want to say one thing. They introduced Cosmo.
What?
They introduced Cosmo in the holiday special, but Cosmo is a comic book
The dog.
character. Cosmo is the dog, the telepathic dog.
Yeah,
Mind
he was
you.
introduced in the holiday special for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, but he's
and when I
also-
saw Guardians of
he's
the
also in
Galaxy
the
3,
comics. He's also in the comics.
yeah, I know, but when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I'm like, who the fuck is this dog? And what is this location where everybody's like kind of getting along? Like, this is a far cry from Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Avengers 3 and 4, right? I'm like, so I had to go watch the holiday special to get better context. But you see, this is the problem that moviegoers are having. You have to watch all this other shit to get into this, to the movie.
Mind you, Marvel.
That's the problem.
Disney's also at fault because of two things. One, they're not marketing it that it is a continuation of the story that has to be watched by so and so or said channel.
Yeah.
And then the other part is, well, they lied about Captain Marvel movie. There was really no purpose to that film other than her own standalone title. And that's one reason why
They
Marvel,
didn't lie about the Captain Marvel movie.
well, she doesn't really do anything. She's there before
She does a lot.
Steve. No, she's there before Steve. She's apparently the founding member, even though Steve was originally the founding member. They kind of go back.
No. The name got coined because of her, but she's not. She's technically not the founding member. The founding member was still Captain America in the first 3 phases, but she helped out in the battle and she helped turn the tide. But yeah, she didn't save the world, which is what Kevin Feige was like saying she would, which she didn't. But I think he was just doing that for marketing purposes.
Either way, Kevin Feige. Good luck. I don't think he's going to be able to get.
The king of streaming is still Netflix. Look at what Netflix has done. They are still the king of streaming. They're still number one. When there is a show that's a hit on Netflix, everybody watches it, and then people go to said streaming service that has that show, like what's going on with Suits. What Disney needs to do with Disney Plus, they need to take some of their shows and put them on Netflix and promote them on Netflix, and then everybody will watch it on Netflix. Then everybody will see it on Disney Plus. Then everybody will go to the movie to watch it. I mean, that would be like the best way to do a partnership.
Well, no, streaming is constricting itself, so it's just getting consolidated more and more.
I mean, HBO Max has had a jump in subscribers because the Band of Brothers in the Pacific are on Netflix.
Yes.
And the Band of Brothers is probably still the greatest limited series that HBO's ever done.
Yes.
And then we got the Pacific, which was also great. I never finished it, but I want to, so I'll watch it on Netflix. But yeah, it's just Netflix is the king of streaming because if your show's big on Netflix, everybody's coming to your network to watch it. In fact, if I was HBO, I would even put this first season of House of the Dragon on Netflix because that would bring in more viewers for season 2, I think.
But anyways, we're not here to talk about streaming. We're not here to talk about VOD or HVOD or HEHS.
But what's your overall thoughts for Ahsoka? To you, Ahsoka was just okay. It was just decent.
It was just average.
And I thought it was great.
He thinks it was great. It was an okay show.
It was certainly better than season.
Well, no, I want to say okay. It was an okay show.
It was certainly
in that sense of okay.
It was certainly better than season 3 of Mandalorian. Season 3 of Mandalorian was not good at all.
It was certainly better than Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan
better
sucked.
than Boba Fett.
Obi-Wan was terrible. Book of Boba Fett was not good.
And everything that Disney has put out when it comes to the legacy characters. Because Disney is against anything George Lucas has made, which is gold. Because Disney can't make anything other than
Not everything George Lucas made was
shit.
gold.
Well,
Not everything.
Obi-Wan as a character is gold. Boba Fett as a character is gold.
No, that's because of Ewan McGregor's performance. There was nothing about that character that was remotely written in a great way by George Lucas in the prequels. It was literally Ewan McGregor carrying those movies, giving the performance of a great performance in all 3 movies. Like, he really did his homework on Alec Guinness. He did more homework than he actually should have. He really became Alec Guinness in those movies.
Listen, I'll say one thing. Disney Star Wars I see nothing good from the Acolyte already. The way it's being promoted, written.
I know the way
touted.
she's talking shit about George Lucas and talking about sexism and all this stuff. I'm like, come on, dude. This is not the way you do it.
You know, I'm more than certain she has no idea about anything in Star Wars. However, I would certainly wager more than 20 million credits on a Gundark beating her ass.
Yeah, and I love
for,
that.
for Star Wars
Yeah.
fans, for Star Wars fans who know what a Gundark is, congratulations. You're with me, I'm with you together. Yes. To anyone who doesn't know what a Gundark is, look it up, look into it. They're not small.
And I love the
They
cast.
would beat her.
And I love the cast that's in the show. The actor who plays one of the main characters plays the main character in Squid Game. He's a great actor from South Korea. Fantastic actor.
The main guy?
In Squid Game, yeah, the main character. The one who's like broke and living with his mom and wins the entire thing to get $1 million.
Yeah. To get his money
Yeah.
for her operation, for her medical care, and for her.
Yeah, he's a great fucking actor. That guy's amazing.
I like
And
that.
Daphne Keane is also in the show. She plays one of the alien creatures. She's a really good actress. I loved her in Logan. She played Logan's clone daughter. She was great. She's great.
Laura?
X-23.
Laura.
X-23,
Laura.
yeah,
Yeah,
X-23.
X-23 Laura.
Yeah, she was great in that movie. She's also
comic book X-23.
She's also
comic book X-23. Better.
she's also
Best. Greatest.
she was great in that movie in Logan. She's also great in His Dark Materials. So Daphne Keane is a really great actress from Spain. You know, she can knock it out of the park in the show. So hopefully the show's not as disappointing as I think it will be. I do look forward to seeing the High Republic and the Jedi's at the height of their power and seeing how the Sith kind of lead to their downfall overall and then go into the Republic era that leads to the rise of the Empire. But we'll see.
I don't know, with the way the show director is spouting it and running her mouth,
The showrunner, yeah.
it makes me not even want to even give it a chance.
Yeah, I'll give it a
She just
chance.
Disney needs to muzzle her. They need to muzzle her. Tell her to shut up.
Well, they think an ESG rating is more valuable than just making money.
Disney's in the business. Listen, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not about making money. It's also about image.
Disney's in the business of losing money for an image that makes them no money.
Well, they're firing a lot of people, and they're also canceling a lot of shows. So even still, this is getting out of hand, and they realize there's certain decisions that they're making is leading to Disney's downfall. So they might either have to tell her to tone it down, or if the show doesn't do well, they just get rid of her altogether and just cancel the series. Might as well, right?
They might as well just cancel it. Write it off as a freaking tax break.
The best thing they got going for them is the Rey Skywalker movie and the Dave Filoni Star Wars movie. Those are the only two things I'm really looking forward to.
Not even household viewing number wise. The Ahsoka's not in top 10.
Well, it did well when it premiered. I don't know how well it held up.
It did not.
But viewership on Disney Plus as a whole is down because people are burned out with the content, and most of the content is not great. So there's that.
It's a lot of preachy, condescending stuff. Anyways.
Yeah, it's just not well written. It's just not being well done.
No, we're going to talk about the WGA strike.
Yeah, good job for the writers.
A deal?
Yeah, congratulations to the WGA for getting the deal with the studios. The studios finally coughed up a lot of money. They're letting them take part in streaming transparency, and money with residuals has jumped up by like a thousands of percentage. And they're not only having their paychecks increase by 5%, it's going to go up another 5% next year, another 5% in 2025, and another 5% in 2026. So the WGA won, and now SAG is in the middle of negotiations. The WGA is in the middle of ratifying the deal by October 9th. They have to vote on that, and that should be over. It's going to most likely be ratified because most of the WGA members are going to vote to ratify it, and then SAG has to do their negotiations, which they're going to be doing the rest of this week and into next week.
I want to say this, that aside from that, there's been an increase in healthcare.
Yeah.
401k, I believe it is.
And the healthcare
retirement stuff.
And the WGA's healthcare being extended all the way into next year, early next year as well.
So the writers did get a lot of ground. However, that's what they're telling you, what they won. They're not telling you what they lost. And until we get information until either of us get information about what they lost, I'll keep my ears open up to YouTube, to the radio, not so much the TV, but social media, to see what's going on there.
Well, paying the writers more means a lot of people are going to get laid off because now the studios either don't want to or don't want to afford to pay everybody. So they're going to cancel a lot of shows, which they're already starting to do, which they've been doing for like the last month or two.
I think
They're going to.
I think this whole writer strike was orchestrated by the studios as a means to what can we cut out?
What can we?
money?
Yeah. What can we
get rid
drop
of
off?
without really
Yeah.
making it?
And I do
whole show?
appreciate. And one thing I do like about CEOs and money guys is that they don't go by emotion. Like the Amazon CEO who canceled 2 shows at Amazon. One was the baseball lesbian show, and the other one was the Peripheral. The woman who's in charge of the studio renewed those shows because she didn't want to piss off the LGBTQ plus community for canceling the baseball show, and she didn't want to upset Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy for canceling the Peripheral because of optics. And so the CEO of Amazon, who's the money guy, came in. He had a meeting in July, and he's like, "Why are we still working on these shows? We're losing money off of them." "Oh, you're caring about people's feelings? Well, fuck that. We got to make money. So we're canceling these shows."
I hope he cancels. I
He
hope,
did.
I hope he cancels. I hope for the love
He
of
did.
God
He canceled 2 of them.
The Lord of the Rings.
Oh no, they're going to keep that going for as long as they
I
want.
don't know
Even though
why.
they're not making any money on that show, they're not making a lot of money on the Rings of Power. They're not making a lot of money on the Wheel of Time. But because studios are competing for IPs and competing with each other with IPs and franchises, they're going to keep renewing those shows and spending money. And what Amazon is doing is they're canceling all the other shows to save money, to keep putting money into those big budget shows, which is why they're still making The Citadel, which is a franchise they wanted to make from the ground up. They're keeping the Wheel of Time going. They're keeping the Rings of Power going. And they're going to cancel 7 other shows to keep those shows going. It sucks, but that's just the way it
I'll
is.
be honest. As much as I don't like Apple as a company, they have much better quality TV,
Yeah.
movies, and such.
And even they're canceling shows to keep their big shows on the air. Like, they want to renew The Foundation, which was in production for season 3. But I think Apple is realizing that their science fiction show, that's their big show, is probably going to be For All Mankind. Even though it's not based on any existing property, that show is well written. It's great. It's co-show run by Ronald D. Moore, and it's one of their best shows.
Okay. Anyways,
You know,
well-
and they want and Ted Lasso, they want to do a sequel series to that because they don't want that to die at all because that's their biggest hit.
They need-
Ted Lasso is their biggest success.
they need to keep writing. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, so that's the information we have for the deal. We'll get into specifics about it.
If SAG
another
comes to a
time.
deal, we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week when SAG comes to a deal. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, if you like this sort of content, hit a like, hit subscribe.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for this. This is Brian J's Nerd Talk. I'll talk to y'all later, and peace.
This
Awesome.
is Steve from Steve's Thoughts and Nerd Talk. I forget my own name. Before I do, I'm Steve from Steve's Thoughts
This
and
is
Nerd
Steve
Talk.
who forgot he was Steve.
I am not even sure I am. I'm probably tired. I did not get enough sleep, and I will definitely go enjoy a nice pillow after I go beat this guy ass in Mullet's Cat over there.
Yep.
Have a nice
All right,
day.
guys.
Take care.
Talk to y'all later. Live long and prosper.